Hi guys! So incredibly, a month 2017 has gone by and there have been a lot of changes in my planner lineup since the beginning of the year, so I wanted to show you where things stand at the moment. As you know, I have a ton of different planners. That is certainly something that hasn't changed in the last month. So I've divided them into different categories. And the first category that I'm going to show you is my everyday planners. That is the core of my planning system. There are 4 planners in this category. And the first one that I'll show you is my Hobonichi Weeks, which is my personal planner and wallet. This is in a Cadenette Notebooks Fodori Hobonichi Weeks cover. These are my absolute favorite Hobonichi Weeks covers. She has a fantastic range of vegan leather Fodoris and Weeks covers, and I'll link her shop down below. This is a new one. It's not coming up true to life on camera at all. It's actually a really rich, vibrant, deep purple. It's my absolute favorite cover and I'm totally in love with it. So inside, I've got my Weeks. This is the Daydream cover by Sebastian Masuda, and I'm really, really happy with this. There haven't been any changes in the way that I'm using it since when I showed you last time. I have my appointments and events on one side and my to-dos on the other side, and then in the notes pages I have a range of different collections, YouTube videos that I want to film, TV and films to watch, all kinds of different things like that, which I'll go through in depth another time when I show you an updated setup of this. And then I have my wallet here, and I've got some Hobonichi Weeks memo books, and I've just started using this one for shopping lists, and so far that's working really well. And my pen is a Pilot Decimo in extra fine, which I absolutely love. So that is the first one in my everyday essentials. The second one is my Hobonichi Cousin. This is my work planner. It's in a purple vegan leather cover from Loved by Gabby on Etsy, which I'll link down below as well. And nothing has changed in this one either. This is the current week. It's just got all of my work appointments and to-dos, and then the notes pages are for various work notes and sometimes daily planning pages. I usually try to switch up the covers so that I don't have 2 different covers of the same color in the lineup, but because purple is my favorite cover and I just got this one, I couldn't help it, and I actually think that they look really nice together. So those are 2 of my Hobonichis. The third Hobonichi is the original, and this is my daily planner. So I started using a Hobonichi original as a daily planner in July of 2016, and so I've been doing that for 7 months now, and it's working amazingly. I absolutely love having a daily planner. So some of you already know the way that I use the daily planner is basically there's no new information in this really. I keep all of my appointments and to-dos in these 2 planners, and then at the beginning of every day, or sometimes the night before, I'll go to the page in this and then just copy everything into a long chronological list that contains everything that I want to do from morning till evening, whether it's work or personal, so that I basically have a long to-do list that I can tick off. So I don't use this for appointments. I don't take it out of the house. I just use it as my to-do list. Sometimes I miss it when I'm out of the house, but as I've said before, carrying 3 planners around with me would really be a bit over the top, even for me. So sometimes I do put things in here that aren't in either of these planners, but they are only the types of things that are so everyday and mundane that they almost don't really merit being listed in a planner, like get dressed, brush teeth, make tea, make breakfast, that sort of thing, because I just like to see everything that I have to do in the day. It really makes me less anxious when I'm panicking about what I'm going to get done and how and when I'm going to do it. This cover is a new one that I just got. It's been out since September, but I only just got it. It's the Sebastian Masuda Thank You All cover. And I got this because I have grown so attached to his Weeks cover that I was sad thinking that at the end of the year I wouldn't be able to use this anymore. And so I decided to order this one. As you can see, it's a different design. This one is more pastel-y and this one is more bright and neon, but I love them both. So I actually got this from Amazon US because the Hobonichi store was out of stock at the time. They don't ship to the UK, for those of you in the UK, but if you're in the US, it's Prime, and I had it sent to someone in the US who then posted it on to me. So I'm really, really happy with this. I love this cover. And my pen for this is a Kaweco Sport Brass in extra fine. The pen for this one, by the way, is the same as the personal planner. It's a Pilot Decimo, an extra fine. And I use those because they're the only pens that I've found to work well if I'm writing a lot on the Tomoe River paper that don't smudge. So the final planner in my everyday lineup is my Leuchtturm 1917 A5 weekly planner, and this is my pretty planner. So as some of you know, I decided to incorporate a pretty planner into my lineup just because I had grown addicted to the Mambi Value Pack stickers, and I didn't really have a place where I could use them. Because as you've seen, these two planners are totally undecorated, and this one I do decorate with stickers from the Mambi Value Packs, but only quite lightly. I just use the clear stickers because they don't bulk it up too much. This was a concern of mine based on a bad experience in 2015 with the Hobonichi original. So you can see I've already decorated up to the beginning of March, so 2 months out of 12, and it really doesn't look that bad at all in terms of bulk. But there's so many amazing stickers in the Mambi Value Packs that I just didn't have an opportunity to use, that I decided to introduce a planner just for that purpose. And this was quite a bit of a Planner Addict gamble. I didn't know whether this was going to work out or it was just going to become a failed experiment and would get consigned to the planners that I don't use, which is sometimes a risk when you introduce a new planner that you didn't have before. But I think it's worth experimenting because that's a lot of the fun of being a Planner Addict, to my mind. So this actually has been a great success, and it has become one of my absolute favorite planners. I love this. It's the highlight of my day looking at this planner, and I keep this one at home as well, although I'm often sorely tempted to take it into work with me because I just love it so much. It's so happy and cheerful, and it just puts a smile on my face. But again, carrying all of these planners around with me just seems like a bit of overkill, so I leave it at home, but it's the first thing that I look forward to seeing when I come home from work. And I'm having a lot of fun decorating it. It's become kind of the opposite of this one. So this is a really detailed daily schedule, and this is a big weekly overview. So I include my teaching hours, appointments, when James is at work, some to-dos, but not all because there's not a huge amount of room on here. It's an A5 horizontal, so if you see here a blank spread, it's got 6 pretty big spaces, and then it's got a shared weekend, which normally would really bug me, but because this is just a weekly overview and I don't do serious planning in it, it's okay. So you can see here sometimes I put a shopping list, and I do put some to-dos, but these tend to be more either specific urgent to-dos or fun to-dos. I put in dinner, and you can see here I've put in Fun Corner Friday for Instagram. So it's just kind of like a mix of all kinds of different things. Sometimes I put in work things if it's anything particularly important or unique, but I don't put everything in here. It's just to give me an idea of what the week looks like and to do it in a really fun way that lets me decorate. I put everything on stickers in here. There's a bit of white space, but it's mostly a very sticker heavy, colorful, intensive planner. But it has absolutely become an essential part of my lineup because even though I don't really need it, I love it so much that I couldn't imagine going back to not having it. So these 4 are my main everyday overall planners that encompass all of my life, whether it's work or personal or both. Now, if we move on to the next category is planners that I use for more specific purposes. So that doesn't necessarily mean that I use them less frequently. It just means that I use them for a niche purpose rather than for something overall. So the first one is my Moleskine large daily planner. And this is another one that I bought really without having an idea of what I wanted to use it for, just because I've had these in the past and I love them. And I couldn't really imagine going a whole year without one. So I first started off decorating this, again, without a clear idea of what I wanted to use it for. And with the help of my awesome planner community friends, decided in the end to use this for daily reflection at the end of the day to indicate the highlights of my day. I was excited about this, but I was also a bit nervous because I know from experience that I'm much better at planning than at recording or tracking. So somehow once something has already happened, I just don't care about it. That's not to say that I think in theory that it's not important to track or record or do memory keeping, but it's just somehow my brain does not care once the event is passed. I have no interest in keeping track of it. And so I don't journal. I don't really do anything like that. So I thought this would be an interesting experiment. This was another one of those gambles that I thought it was worth taking to see if I could do it and if it would turn out to be something that I enjoyed and stuck with. And I did it for a few days, but it turned out to be a gamble that did not pay off, because after probably 5 or 6 days, I just stopped using it, and I noticed that I was forgetting about it. And it was the classic sign of when a planner isn't working for you, that you forget that you have it and it feels like a burden. So then I decided to switch things up, and I tried using it for the opposite purpose, which was to write down the things that I was looking forward to doing the next day. So I thought it would be a way of creating your best days, as Ashley Shelley says, of trying to focus on the positive things that I was going to be doing the next day and set the tone for the day. That only worked out marginally better. I did that for a few days, but again, I think I felt like I had too many other planners where I was recording things so that it felt like it was just too much. I couldn't look at it and also look at all the other planners. It just didn't work out. I wasn't using it. And then as soon as I started teaching again after the winter break, you can see that there were a whole bunch of blank pages. And that made me really sad, because I'd pre-decorated and it felt like a waste of all of these stickers, which I could be saving for use in my pretty planner, which was working. So I stopped decorating it, and there are a few blank pages. And then I started using it for a completely different purpose, which is actually what this planner is designed for. This is an hourly planner, and it has a timeline going from 8 a.m. until 8 p.m. So I thought, why don't I try using this planner as an hourly planner? Now, the reason that I would do this is because with these planners, I don't actually have anything that gives me a complete overview of work and personal that's divided by the hour. This one, my daily to-do list, does have a timeline, but as I have discussed in other videos, I don't find it functional for me because it's too squished. It only lists every third hour. The other 2 hours are indicated by a dot, and it doesn't give enough room to be able to write out exactly what I want to do per hour. So the way I started using this was just to map out specific times when I had to do something and I needed to be able to estimate how long it would take me. Usually it's when I have to go into central London and be there for a specific time. Say here, I had to go to lunch at the Lithuanian embassy for a work thing. I had to be there at 1. And because I'm not a morning person, I always need to calculate when I have to get up and what I have to do in the meantime to make sure that I get to the place I need to be. So it's been quite helpful having this, because I can just say, okay, let's see what would happen if I got up at 9. Yes, I know that is me. There's nothing I can do about it. I get up late and I stay up late. So if I get up at 9, get up, get dressed, take Mochi out, because at the time James was away in Wales with Tails, then have breakfast, make Mochi breakfast, then do some work, and then leave at 11:50, then that would get me to the Lithuanian embassy lunch by 1. So I just use it for these specific things where I need to measure times and I need to have a whole blank sheet of paper to do it. If I try to do that in my work planner, because my work planner is so full of to-dos and appointments, I feel like there isn't enough space to be able to calculate. Well, there is enough space, but it's more comfortable just to have a completely separate planner that's a blank page that just has hours on it, where I can indicate exactly what I want to do. And it's almost like a kind of, not a mind map, but it's just like a rough draft of seeing how long am I going to need. And I've been using it for that. So as you can see, I don't use it every day, because some days either I don't have anything going on that I need to calculate like that, or I'm just working from home and I don't have a specific time where I, have to be careful to get things done exactly in that schedule. But quite a lot of days I have used it, at least for something. Usually it's just part of the day, because I don't need to map out my whole entire day in such detail. This day I did map out the whole day because there were a lot of different things going on and I just wanted to see what it looked like. So again, this isn't strictly necessary, but I really enjoy having it because it's like having scrap paper almost. And then I don't take this with me. I just use it to really focus my mind on what is my day going to look like from beginning till end in an hourly format, and I find that quite helpful. Sometimes, as you can see, it only has a few entries in it, because here I just wanted to see like what time am I going to have to get up in order to leave by 10, and what am I going to be able to get done, because often, and I'm sure I'm not alone in this, I have very unrealistic expectations about what I'm going to be able to get done. So I'm like, okay, I have to leave at 10. Yeah, I'll get up at 8, and then I'll get an hour of work done, and I'll do all of this other stuff, and I'll hang up the laundry. And then actually I don't get any of it done. So it's quite helpful to be able to map it out beforehand and try to think realistically about how much I'm going to manage. So that's how I've been using this planner, and I really like it. The one regret that I have is that I put stickers on the first 2 weeks, because if you're like me and quite OCD about planner stuff, it will irk you to have it not looking uniform. So I really like to go through and look at the old pages and see what I was doing and what I was thinking about, but it kind of bugs me to have these first 2 weeks looking completely different. But I'm trying to embrace it and just think, well, it tells a story of how I've been using the planner this year, and who knows, so far this has been working out really well, and I like having it for this, but it could be that in another 6 months I'll have given that up and be using it for something completely different. That's why I like to experiment and test out systems with new planners, because some things stick. Sometimes something works out really well and it ends up becoming a firm, ingrained part of my lineup, and other times it doesn't stick and I end up getting rid of it. So far this hourly planning is working really well, but we'll see what happens in the longer term, because it's only been a couple of weeks. Now, the next more specific planner in my lineup is this one. This is a Doki Book Disc Agenda Serene, and in personal size, and in it I have my Hello Beautiful or Super Fun Mini Happy Planner, which I absolutely love. And I'm using this as an expense tracker. So I've so far used this all month. It's worked really well. I like having it because I feel like it is a place for me to obviously track my expenses, but also to focus on cultivating a positive mindset around finances, because finances are an area, as I've said before, where often I freak out and I'm like, where's all the money gone? Oh my goodness. And then I get to the end of the month and I'm, really desperate for payday. And I want to sort that out and not be like that. And I feel like having this psychologically is just very helpful, because for one thing, it makes it easier to keep yourself accountable so that you know what you've been spending things on and it's not so confusing. And also, I really believe in the positive power of planning. I think that if you write things down, that it's an amazing tool for creating the future that you want. I really believe in all of that kind of stuff. I think that it definitely, and I know that a lot of you will be able to relate to that, because I think a lot of us planner people have found that to be true. So I think that this is an important thing to have, just because it somehow, in mysterious, unexplained ways, it somehow improves the situation. So I just write down expenses, everything that I spend money on during the day. When I come home, I write it down in here. And my goal is to have the expenses go down and down and down, so that I'm happy with them at the end of every week. And then at the end of the week, in the notes section, I calculate the total expenses. Sometimes, depending on how much time I have, I divide them into different categories. At the beginning of the year, I started off all keen to color code, and I had these stickers, and I divided them into food, boring stuff like necessities, and fun, i.e. planner supplies. But I quickly gave up on that, because I just found that I felt like I didn't have the time, and all I have time to do is note down what I spent the money on, and that works fine. So sometimes at the end of the week, I'll go through and categorize and see how much money I spent on food, just to have an idea. But often I just will do the total, and then I'll see, okay, that's good. Or next week I'm going to improve on that and try to focus on like, oh, I actually bought a lot of stickers. Next week, no stickers, that kind of thing. So this has been working really well. And the pen is my Kaweco Student Demonstrator, which is an eyedropper. So there's lots of beautiful ink sloshing around in here. And this is one of my favorite pens as well. I absolutely love this. So the next specific planner is my classic size Happy Planner. This is the Peonies one, and I didn't have this at the beginning of the year. This was a birthday present. I got some Amazon vouchers, and so what did I do? Of course, I had to buy a planner. So it's the classic size Peonies Happy Planner, but I also bought the snap cover, which are available now in the UK. I got this from craftstars.co.uk for those of you who are in the UK, and I absolutely love this. So I also got these Mambi pocket folders just because I had some extra stickers from an order that wouldn't fit anywhere else, and so I put them in here even though I don't use stickers with this. And at first I was using this as an evening planner, and this was because James and I often find that in the evenings everything is just really chaotic and we feel like we have too much stuff to do and we can't get a handle on who has to do what and when. And so I was using it to map out the evening in 2-hour chunks. So this is 6 or 6:30 until 8, 8 until 10, and then 10 until midnight. And I would write down what each of us had to do, and then we would delegate and kind of feel like, we know who is making dinner, what is the other person doing at that time, which sounds a bit mad, but the evenings were feeling really overwhelming. Then, as soon as the teaching term started, things got even more overwhelming, so much so that I completely gave this up because I was getting home late and we were just really doing the bare minimum, and I didn't even feel like I had time to sit down and plan out what we were going to do. So this was languishing for a couple of weeks, not being used, and that was making me really sad because I love this planner, especially with the snap-on cover, because as you know, I'm not a fan of laminated covers, so I was really excited when I saw that they were coming out with these snap covers, and knew immediately that when they became available in the UK that I would have to get one, because this to me makes the Happy Planner absolutely perfect. So it was blank and I kept trying to think what else could I use it for, and then I decided to have another go at meal planning. So from this week I started using it for meal planning, and I actually have found this to be really useful. Who knows how long it will last, because usually I don't last long with meal planning, but it's been 2 weeks now that I've been using it. And as you can see, some days I haven't done it. These are days when I was in university and I kind of have an idea of where I go to get lunch. So I didn't use it then. It's not perfect because our meal planning system still needs a lot of refinement. But see, you can see this is today and I've mapped everything out, and it makes me feel much happier when I know that everything has been accounted for and that I know what to do for the next meal. I really like that. And then also I know what I need to buy from the shop. And so I think that with my efforts to go zero waste, which I've been doing for about a year, and it's been quite a slow process, but recently I've made some breakthroughs. I think it's just little things here and there. So I finally found a place where I can easily get bread without plastic packaging, and that was something that I was working on for quite a long time. But I've got a system now where I know the kinds of things that I can plan that don't come in plastic, and still make sure that we always have food and food that we like. So I think that this is actually really helpful in that, because it's since I started doing that I've made those breakthroughs. So I'm going to try to keep using this for meal planning. And so this is something that I do use every day, I try to use every day, but it's more for a specific purpose. And the pen, this is an exciting new acquisition. This is a Parker 51. And I got this because, it's kind of a long story, but James and I both got one. And this is the first vintage fountain pen that I've ever had, and it's really, really exciting. It's broader than I would normally like, but it works really well in the Happy Planner because the paper is very absorbent, it dries quickly, and it doesn't smudge. So that's exciting. So that is the last of that category. Then the next category is joint planners. These are planners that James and I both use, or that are for both of us. This one I started the year with as a new planner. This is the Hello Life or watercolor mini Happy Planner in another Doki Books Disc Agenda Serene cover in the personal size. And this one is our Dirty Home Planner. So this is where we write down tasks that need to be done in the home. And basically this is just a way for me to communicate with James and put down things that I want him to do, which sounds really bossy and terrible, but it's actually quite convenient. It's basically things that have to be done that are routine, like changing the dog's water, which we try to do every other day, or brushing Mochi's teeth, or when they need their flea medicine, or things like taking out the recycling and the compost, and also one-off things. So there were a whole bunch of things. We were cleaning out our spare room, which has now been transformed into like a study and workroom / living room, and we're really happy with it. So all of the things that had to be done in relation to that, I put in here. And it's basically just because I am the planner addict. So obviously I always have everything planned. And so it's either like telling James and then he would have to write it down in his planner, or I just put it in here and then he checks this. So he really likes this. So we've been using it for that. Now, I'm not really sure how long this is going to last, because James does say that he likes it and he checks it if it's open, but it has to be open on the table and it has to be open in the room where we're in, or else we will forget about it and not use it. So it's kind of potentially dangerous, because it's something that it's not like I'm always carrying it around with me and he's not carrying it around with him. So it does run the risk of getting neglected. But so far it has been useful. So I'd like to keep that going. And then the next one in the same category is our home planner. So this is our pretty home planner, which we just use for joint appointments. And it basically, again, I am the only one that writes things in this, because if James is doing something, I'll write it in my personal planner. So really, I just use this to put in my work schedule so that James knows. And if there are things that we both have to know about, like, for example, the flea medicine, again, I put it in here, but this was actually done beforehand, because really it should go in here. This is just for appointments. So if somebody's coming to visit us, then I'll put it in here and things like that. And again, this one recently has kind of been a bit neglected. I'm not sure if that's a permanent thing. I'm hoping not, because a home planner is something that we've had for quite a while, for the last couple of years. So I feel like it should be a permanent staple in our planner lineup, but I haven't been updating it all the time. And as you can see, I haven't updated next week yet. I did do up to this week. So I'll do this today, put in all the appointments and then put in the decorations afterwards, so that it doesn't get too confusing to look at. So these two are both kind of on shaky ground at the moment, and I'm not exactly sure why. Maybe it's because I've got so many other planners on the go. And James does also have a planner as well. So sometimes I just tell him something that we need to do and he'll write it down in his planner, and that seems to be maybe more effective. So these are kind of question marks at the moment, but they are still being used and they are still part of the lineup. Now, finally, we get to the last two planners. So the first one is not really a planner. This is my gratitude and vision book. And I've been using this since November. It's a 2017 Hobonichi Weeks, but it started in November. So in the monthly spread, I use it to write down the highlight of my day. So this is something I do at the end of the day. And this seems to work better for me than when I was trying to use this daily Moleskine to write down the highlights of my day, because this felt overwhelming and I was just forgetting about it. Whereas this, because it's just one thing and it's a small space, it's very easy just to write down the one thing that was the highlight of my day. So that's working really well. And then here I write down all the things that I'm grateful for, which, because sometimes I'm really busy and when I get to the end of the day I just feel so tired and overwhelmed that I don't write down a lot, but I do usually, try to write down at least 3 or 4 things. And that's why I really like this. I think this is working well as a gratitude book, because it's not so big that it's overwhelming. And then on the right hand side I write down vision, so things that I want to happen. And then in the notes pages, I'm using this the same way that I was using it at the beginning of the year. So nothing has changed there, except I've decided to become more proactive about this. So initially I was like, what am I going to use all these notes pages for? Everything is already taken care of. I don't really need them, but I didn't want them to stay blank. So I divided it into vision and gratitude. So I thought sometimes when I'm occasionally even more panicked about something than usual, I'll just go and write it down here and then tell my brain, it's okay, it's under control. I've sent an order to the universe for this to happen. So I was using it like that, kind of randomly. And then I decided that it wasn't very efficient, because like, say I would write down a couple of things and then the rest of the page would be blank. Be like, well, how long should I keep using this? If I keep using it like this, I might get to the end of the year and only have used 3 pages, say. But it was kind of arbitrary when I should move on if I wasn't going to use the whole page. So I decided just a couple of weeks ago, or maybe just a week ago, to instead use this for specific lists so that I can keep adding to these over the year. and have a whole bunch of different things to focus on. So I'm so happy that, and this is work vision, I'm so happy that home, James, this is all vision, so things that haven't happened but that I'd like to happen. And I can just keep making more lists and adding to them over the year. And then the same for gratitude. So first I started off with things I love, and these were just lists of like things I love on a particular day. And then I decided to make it more specific as well and divide it into things I love in the flat, things I love about James, things I love about London, etc. So I'm going to use it like that, and hopefully that will mean that for the rest of the year I've got a variety of different lists that make it different from this gratitude and vision book, which is the main core of the planner. So that is that. And then last but not least, this is the newest addition to my planner lineup, and I'm really excited about this. This is a Webster's Pages Traveler's Notebook, and it houses my Jibun Techo, which I just did a review on. So this was an amazing present, and I absolutely love it so much, from my very good planner friend, Planner Girl 777. And I was like, I love this, but what am I going to use it for? And so I was thinking about the idea of using it as a master planner where I write down everything, work and personal, kind of like this one, except it's hourly and it wouldn't be pretty, as in I wouldn't decorate it. And so then based on that, I thought, you know what this would be amazing for is doing functional plan with me's, so that I can show exactly how I plan out my week. Because one thing that I've never been able to do is plan with me videos, because I don't sit down and have one planning session where I plan out my whole week. I just plan as I go. And so I thought with this planner, because I would be drawing on my work and my personal planner, I would be able to plan out my week and show how I do it and how I divide up appointments and tasks and all of the thinking behind it. Because I feel like functional plan with me's are a rare breed of plan with me, and I really, really enjoy them. So I'm excited at the thought of being able to make some more of them, for YouTube. So anyway, I did a sample week. This is this week, just to see what it would look like. And I absolutely love how this looks. I'm really excited about this layout. I mean, not that I've done anything remarkable with it, but just the way that the layout of the Jibun Techo is, how it lets you slot things in. So I'm going to do my first plan with me video tomorrow. So stay tuned for that if you're interested in that kind of thing. So as you can see, there's no decoration. It's just putting in my appointments and my to-dos and, deciding on the best place to put them and what I want to include and why. And that's what I'm using this for. So I'm really excited about this, because I think this is, I'm excited. This is going to be a lot of fun. So let's see. If we recap, we've got 4 different categories. We have, first of all, the everyday planners, and there are 4 in this category. Then we have the more specialized planners, and there are 3 in this category. Then we have the joint planners, the home planners, and there are 2 of those. And then we have the vision book, which is gratitude and vision book, which is not really a planner, but I include it because it's something that I write in and it's in the form of a planner. And then finally we have the Jibun Techo, which is going to be my overall master planner and plan with me planner. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, which I believe is actually the same number that I started the year with, but a lot of the planners are changed. I mean, a lot of them are not the same as the ones that I started the year with. So I hope that you enjoyed this. As always, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will be back again soon.